Plies plus pulses. Heels parallel, sit bone width apart, neutral pelvis. About 10 of these. You're straightening the legs and then bending the legs. Breathe out through the mouth, breathe in through the nose. Imagine it's a really heavy spring, so you want to really feel the muscles working on the way out and on the way down. Don't let gravity, don't let the springs pull the bed back in. Resist using the muscles. The deep abdominals are engaged, the spine, the neck, the head is lengthening out. Now, little pulses mid-range. So it's about a pulse within 15 centimetres, half a rule, out and in, out and in. Not all the way down into the stopper, not all the way out. About 10 of these, keeping the muscles squeezing into the bones. Straighten and then return. So toes, sit bone width apart. So you're gripping with the toe pads. The balls of the feet are on the bar. Ideally, keep the heels as still as you can in space. Breathe out through the mouth. Breathe in through the nose. Lengthen through the legs. Return with control. Feeling the front and back of the thighs engaged. And even though your legs are apart, you want to feel like you're squeezing the groin muscles, the inside thighs together. Keep the shoulders back and down. Keep the neck long and lengthened. And then after 10 of these, then we go into pulses mid-range. So you're pushing halfway out and then within that range out and down about 15 centimetres. Resist against the pull of the springs. Feel the press against the springs on the way out. Resist on the way in. So you're not touching the stopper, you're not going all the way out. About 10 of these mid-range. Straighten the legs and then return. Now in a V position, keep your toes where they are, draw the heels together. Breathe out to straighten, in to return. If I was to poke around your waist, I want to feel a firm waist, like you're drawing your belt in a notch. And to get into the back of the legs and the inside thighs, really squeeze the heels together, imagining there's a piece of paper between your heels and I'm trying to pull that paper out from the heels. So it's the inside thighs and the back of the legs, straightening the legs. So we do 10 of these and then we're going to do 10 pulses in mid-range. So you go out and then little pulses about 15 centimetres mid-range. Keeping the muscles engaged as you return. The springs will really want to pull you in. Resist. Push through the feet and then squeeze the back of the legs. Reach out and then glide back down. Now we're going to go into prances. So keep the toes where they were, swing the heels back parallel, press out, lower and lift the heels. We're doing 20 of these. Make sure that you're pressing through the big toe joint. You're not rolling onto the little toe joint. The legs are parallel. The heels are hidden behind the middle toe. If you were to lift up your head, you want those heels in line with the middle toes as opposed to drawing in towards one another. The thigh muscles are engaged. You're squeezing your kneecaps up and you're constantly lifting up and out of the hips. Keep breathing and then into prances, so one at a time. The challenge here is to keep the hip bones really stable, so you don't want to swing your hips around like a catwalk model. Okay, the thighs are engaged, the back of the legs are engaged. More importantly, your oblique muscles, your waist muscles, once again are drawing that imaginary belt into your center. The chest is lifting, the spine is lengthening, and then return. So roll onto your side to sit back up. So we're going to change that spring. So you're on either 2 or 2.5. Now we're putting it onto either 1.5 or 1. And we're going to do a single leg. So we're doing toes over and under. So left foot on the bar, right leg underneath, core engaged. So you straighten the supporting leg and then return. The underneath leg goes towards your chest and then over the bar, towards your chest and then under the bar. It's a pelvic stability challenge here, so don't worry about how high or low the leg goes. You want to be able to move that right leg above and below the bar without hiking the hips or moving the side. So between your ribs and your hips, you want to keep it long and lengthened through the waist. And that supporting leg is doing a lot of the work. So the back of that left leg Swapping sides, so foot is in line with the sit bone. Start with the leg under the bar, the bed is into the stopper, and then over and under. Okay, so it's the supporting leg that we're strengthening. So feel like the back of your right thigh bone is pressing down to the floor to engage the back of that leg. Your obliques, your waist muscles are working. The mid-back muscles are drawing your shoulders back and down. And the left leg is testing your pelvic stability. We breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth, in through the nose, out through the mouth. If that's too fast, just a natural breath cycle. So heel, extension. So heel in line with the sit bone, the right leg up, parallel as well. Feet are flexed and you extend the leg up and then return. Once again, don't worry about how high your right leg is, okay? If you don't have the length in your right leg to lift it straight up, then just reach it out to a diagonal. And imagine that there's a spirit level across from left hip to right hip. You want to keep the bubble in line with your belly button. Often people lift the right hip up and then tip the pelvis, tilt the pelvis, okay? So keep the right sit bone anchoring towards the left inside knee to stabilize the pelvis. Other leg, heel in line with the sit bone and then extending out through the heels. I like to imagine like a Spider-Man web casting out through the heels. So the energy of your legs is reaching from your sit bones right through the thighs, through the knee joints, out through your shins, through the heels. Out through the straw to get into those deep abdominals. In through the nose to expand the ribs. Lying on your back, hands in straps. Put the headrest up. And when you're ready, you grab your straps. Make sure you're lying straight, pubic bone, navel and nose all in one line. The bed starts away from the stopper, hands directly up above the shoulder blade so your muscles are engaged to start, and then lift one leg up followed by the other. Breathe out to lift the head and the chest up, breathing in to return. Imagine you're pivoting around a skewer going through the right rib to the left rib around the bra line area, around the base of your shoulder blades. So you're lifting your head in your arms, pivoting around that line at the base of the shoulder blades, drawing the ribs towards your hips, and then lower the arms down, open out, and then same thing from T arms. Think of leading with the little fingers as you draw the arms in, breathing out to lift, breathing in to lower. Armpits are squeezing oranges underneath them, lengthening through the palate, the crown of the head, and then into triceps. Keeping the elbows still in space. The shoulder blades are anchoring back and down, and it's the back of the arms straightening the forearms. Out through the mouth to engage the deep abdominals. And then you might want to add a little curl up with that as well. Really squeeze the armpits and arm bones in towards the sides of the ribs and lengthen through your arms. Return the bed back to the stopper, place one leg down followed by the other, and just 2 deep breaths, in through the nose, out through the mouth, letting go. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Good. Now, push the bed away, legs and arms up into hundreds with the knees bent and pulsing the arms. 4, 5, in, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe out. 2, 3, 4, 5, in, 2, 3, 4, 5. 30, 2, 3, 4, 5, in, 2, 3, 4, 5. 40. Okay, now keep going. Okay, with each out breath, reach the fingertips towards the bar a little bit more, lifting the shoulder blades up, pressing the lower rib cage down. Keep breathing into the lungs and the chest, drawing your belt in a notch. So the movement is happening around your lungs and your ribs as opposed to your belly. Good work. One leg down followed by the other. 2 deep breaths, just letting go. Long out breaths just to calm your nervous system down. Okay, bed away from the stopper, arms up above your shoulders. We're doing some oblique curl-ups. Legs are up into tabletop, legs are apart, and you reach the left hand between the legs and then the right hand between the legs. Pressing the hands into the straps using your abdominals, not your neck. Okay, your neck will be working here, but it's the abs pressing the hands into the straps. Keeping the hips and the legs nice and stable and still. Lifting one shoulder blade up higher than the other, and then the other shoulder blade up higher, initiating from the pelvic floor, navel to spine. Pelvic floor, navel to spine. Out through the mouth, in through the nose, and then return back to the stopper. Once again, have a little rest. Okay, bed away from the stopper. We're doing single leg stretch with your head down. One leg up followed by the other, clamping the armpits down. Keep your head down, reach the arms down, extend one leg at a time. The pelvis is in neutral. If you're feeling your lower back working, imprint your lower back and tuck your tailbone up. Now reach the leg out, pause for a micro moment, squeeze the hamstring, the muscle at the back of the leg. Reach out and then return. So yes, your thigh muscle is straightening the knee, but you want to also use the back of the leg to extend out through the hip. From your sit bone, you're reaching the heel away. If I was to poke around your sit bone muscles, that area would be contracted and firm. And then have a little rest. And we're going to now reverse that, okay? So it's exactly the same thing. Move the bed away from the stopper, legs up now, but this time the legs start out, okay? And then bend one knee, reach out. Bend one knee, reach out. Okay, now the height of the leg depends on how your back's coping with this. Okay, the higher the legs, the easier it is. The lower the legs, the harder, okay? So as you draw the knee in, use your abs now. As you reach out, pinch the glutes together. Pinch the inside thighs together. Really squeeze the back of the leg so you feel like you're really lengthening out through the hip sockets. And then feet down. So spring change. Now, you might want to pause here and grab a Pilates ball. And then we're going to put 1 3/4 springs on, or 1 1/2. Put your feet through the straps, and we're going to do double leg lowers with the Pilates ball. So put the ball between your ankles and feet. Legs are parallel. Neutral pelvis and spine. You're pivoting in the hips as you lower the legs down, pivoting the hips as you lift them up. Resisting in the back of the legs, and then keep the back of the legs engaged as you resist against the pull of the springs when the legs lift up. This is a pelvic stability exercise where we're testing if your pelvis is rocking up and down. We want to keep the pelvis nice and steady as the legs lower and lift. So that little gap between your lower back and the carriage remains consistent. Keep lengthening out through the waist, even as the legs lift up. Pressing from the back of the legs, and squeeze the ball as well with the inside thigh so you're getting the adductors working. Then we're going into frogs. Okay, so hold on to the ball because we will be using that again. Good old frogs here. As you press out, squeeze the inside thighs, the calves, the heels together. The pelvis is in neutral, the lower back is in neutral. The corseted muscles around your torso are engaged. So it's like you're drawing the laces of your corset at the front of your body in towards your center line. And then we do frogs with the Pilates ball. The challenge here is to keep the ball as still as possible, so no rocking with the feet up and down. This reveals if we have one dominant inside thigh more than the other. So go at a pace and within a range that you feel like you can keep that ball very steady, no rolling the ball. And then we'll get rid of that and we're going to go into circles parallel, and then we'll do it in turn out. So start with the legs parallel, lift, open, lower and down. Go within a range that you feel like you've got control over the equipment. So I'm lifting my legs up quite high here. Not everyone will be able to necessarily do that. Okay, so you only lift your legs up within a range that you feel like you've got strength, and then you reverse the circle in parallel. We'll do about 5 of those. Back of the legs, inside thighs. You're pressing the legs away from you with the back of the legs, not your lower back. If you're feeling like your lower back is doing the work, don't lift your legs up so high. Now turn the legs out and we circle around, down, up, keeping the thigh bones externally rotated. So I want you to really feel the deep hip muscles at the back of your glutes there, your inside thighs working. Breathe out, breathe in. About 5 of those, and then 5 reversing the circle, once again keeping the legs in external rotation. So really wrapping the thigh bones out, and then draw the legs together. Wrap the thigh bones, keeping those deep glute muscles engaged as you draw the heels together. And then we're going to go into high openings with the resistance. The challenge here is to keep the bed still. You don't want the carriage to move at all. To avoid the carriage moving, we press the feet gently into the straps, and because it's an arc, that pressure will vary. The hands are resisting the straps, so as I open the legs, I'm pushing the hands in. As I draw the legs, I'm pushing the hands out to add in a bit of resistance. Squeeze the kneecaps up so the thigh muscles are toned, and this will send a message to the back of the legs to stretch. Keep pushing the feet into the straps from the sit bone muscles all the way through to the back of the legs, and then pause there. I like to press my hands into my thighs and then press my thighs out to create space. You're not just splat here. The leg muscles are active, like you're pushing your feet away from you towards the bar slightly. The back of the knees are pressing away from you. You're feeling the length up through your spine as you're pushing the back of the legs away. And then lift the legs up, and then we're going to go into short spine prep. Put the headrest down. Start with the knees bent in frogs. Do frog, and then draw the bed in towards the stopper, folding at the hips, the pelvis will lift. And then just simply bend the knees, draw the heels towards your pelvis, and then reach out like frog. And then folding at the hips, getting a gorgeous stretch in the back of your lower back, in the back of the legs, bend, and then return. Okay, keep pressing the lower rib cage down towards the carriage so you get this C curve through the lower back. And when the legs start to lift up and the pelvis starts to lift, really contract and engage the inside thighs, the back of the legs. So here, if I was to poke my buttock muscles there, they would be contracted, and that'll help you tuck and lengthen out through your lower back. Arm bones, shoulder blades are pressing down to help you stabilize through your shoulder girdle. Take your feet out of the straps 1 foot at a time. Return the bed back into the stopper, put the straps down. We're going into semicircle plus reverse, feet in a V position, toes on the bar, heels together, knees hip bone width apart. Tuck the tail under, lift the pelvis up, keeping the heels together. Reach out through your inside thighs. Press the carriage 3/4 of the way out. Keep the carriage still as you roll through your spine to neutral, return back to the stopper. Breathe out through the mouth to lift up. Breathe in to straighten the legs 3/4. Breathe out to roll back down, and then breathe in to return. The challenge here is to keep the heels together and the inside thighs activated, lengthen through the front of the hips, and then stabilizing, keeping the carriage still as you roll down is another challenge here. Press the carriage out, we're reversing it now. Keep the heels together, tuck your tail under, lift up. Squeeze the back of the knees and then roll back down through the spine, pinching the back of the knees together. Press out, heel bones press together. Imprint, tuck the tailbone up, lift up. Draw the bed in, reach out through your knees, and then roll through the bony protrusions of your spine. And again, lengthen through your torso, tuck, reach up, draw the back of the legs in, squeezing the sit bones in towards your heels. And then roll onto your side to get up. Okay, so bend your knees, the spine and the pelvis are in neutral. Tuck and tilt just to get that neutral position. Keeping the leg that's on the foot plate very still, you're pushing the carriage leg out from the heel, so weight is back into the heel. Our target area is the standing leg, stabilizing through the leg that's on the foot plate. And then we do the other side. So now we keep the carriage leg very still. Keep the pelvis very motionless, no initiating from rocking the pelvis. You're initiating from pressing the right heel, the foot plate heel into the foot plate. Getting into glute med and glute min. Make sure you're not tilting the pelvis forward and overarching your lower back. The sit bones are anchoring down towards the heels. Now straighten up, pelvis and spine in neutral. With straight legs, you're pressing out. If you have to rock to push the carriage out, the spring's too hard. Okay, dig the heels down and apart so that the carriage is pushing out from glute med and glute min. Keep lifting the front pelvic floor up. The legs are straight. Our target area is the outside of the hips, and then bend your knees, shift your weight, stepping off there, and then the other side. So you walk around, step onto the foot plate first, shift your weight onto that leg, and then make sure you're in neutral, keeping the leg that's on the foot plate very still, and then using the leg that's on the carriage to push the carriage out, pressing through the heel, shifting the weight back into the heels. Keep lifting the belly button back and up, keep lifting your chest up. So where my hands are there, that's where we want the target area. Okay, the pelvis must remain very still. The deep abdominals are drawing you in. Make sure you're not straightening or bending that carriage leg. Keep that knee very aligned and still at that angle. The knees are in line with the middle toes. Breathe out through the mouth, in through the nose. And then abduction straight. The legs are straight, the kneecaps are lifted. And think of initiating by pressing the heels apart. Pelvic floor lifts. Chest lifts. Where my hands are there, that's where I want you to push the heels apart from. Strong out breath will help you connect to your deep abdominals. And putting your hands in that glute med, glute min area will help you activate that area. Bend your knees, shift your weight, step back. Lighten the spring. So either half a spring or 3/4 of a spring if you're feeling like you need a bit more support. But if you're feeling strong in your inside thighs, then half a spring. The foot that's on the carriage is halfway out of the carriage. Arms are out to a T, then you lift the arms up, and then you reach out to a T, draw the legs together for 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, press out, lift the arms. Exhale, press down. Okay, now if I was to poke around your inside thighs now, they're very firm. Drawing the heels towards one another, squeezing the bed into the stopper is the challenge there. Go for a stretch here. And then I want you to press the legs together. Try and touch the feet, the inside thighs together. Inhale, raise up. And then exhale, press down. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Keep reaching out through your limbs. Shift your weight onto the foot plate and then hop off other side. Stepping up onto the foot plate. And then right foot in the middle of the carriage, arms are out. Squeeze the legs together and then press the carriage out. Lift the arms up without lifting the collarbones up. And then imagine water pouring up from underneath your armpits. You're pressing down on that force that's coming up from underneath you. So you really activate armpits through to the fingertips down. Expanding out. And then press down with the legs and in towards one another. Hip mobility. And then strength. Press the bed into the stopper. More, 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 more. Inhale through the nose. Pelvic floor, navel to spine. Out through the mouth. Inhale, lift and expand. Exhale, press down, lots of strength here underneath your arms, inside thighs, and then shift your weight and hop off there. We're going into tendon stretch prep, so lift the bar up, put a sticky mat, something underneath your pelvis here. If you don't have that, you can use a mat. And then feet are out wide, the legs are not touching here, they're out quite wide. And then you simply straighten the legs and then bend. Breathe out to press out. Breathe in to return. Keep the heels slightly lifted in space, so don't let the heels go underneath the bar too much there. Keep looking down towards your pelvis. Allow the weight of your head to stretch the lower back and the back of the legs. And then bring the legs together, hands either side, legs and feet and knees are together. Breathe out to straighten and then breathe in to bend. So this time we're in parallel with the legs together. If you can keep your face as close to your knees as possible, fantastic. But your version's fine. If the other one before this is easier, okay, so you can repeat that. Otherwise, if you wanted to draw your legs in, if you've got that range and mobility in your hips, then fantastic. If not, then just repeat the one before. You're pushing through the legs and you're pulling through the arms. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you can stay up to date and get notified when it's released. Thanks for watching, and remember, movement is medicine.